Well, greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome to Truthseekers. I hope that we're welcoming some old friends and hopefully some new friends as well. Tonight, we're going to be trying something new, which is a multi story format, which I've never done. So please bear with me if there's any technical issues, as I'm sure there's bound to be. We've just come to expect some things may not go according to plan. I like to say that you get the show, warts and all. Um, and so, yeah, I'm going to have to do it with the warts, friends. So, in our new multi story format, uh, basically, there's certain stories that people send me or give me or come across my desk or I find and I say, wow, this is something I'd like to cover, but it's not really a show that you could do a 2 hour broadcast on one story. But I've collected up some of these stories over time now since we began our show, and I think putting them together in sort of multi-format is a good idea. Some of these things are things I've wanted to cover for quite some time, so we're going to get into it, friends. In our first segment, let's see here. Our first segment here is called Crime Pays. For those that don't know, maybe you've heard that expression, crime doesn't pay. It doesn't pay if you're a peasant. But if you're a member of the rich ruling class, sure thing, crime pays. And I'm going to show you one of my favorite of the rich and powerful and elite who somehow managed to make crime pay to the tune of, I don't know, something like $185 million. We're going to get into it. And I am talking about Wells Fargo CEO, one-time CEO, John Stump. Uh, for those unaware, Wells Fargo got caught fraudulently signing up hundreds of thousands of, you know, of their customers for accounts they never asked for credit cards they never asked for. And boy, did that stock price shoot up when they did that, right? The CEO had millions of shares of Wells Fargo stock. And this artificial creation of profit that wasn't really profit, it always comes out in the wash, friends. I worked in accounting for a long time. And one thing I learned is that you can only put things into the other ledger for so long. And eventually it's all going to come out. So eventually, the I'm just going to call it a scam. The scam that Wells Fargo ran on all of those customers came out. And there was an investigation and even Senate hearings. And boy, I got to say, I love nothing better than to watch a Senate hearing of some rich, powerful, elite person who thinks they're above the law suddenly have to answer to somebody. And most of the time, I'm not very impressed with the questions or the line of questioning that these senators go after these guys with. But I found one that is mic issues. Again, I don't know. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to check. Just bear with me, friends. Yeah, again with the choppy. All right. I have the mic right here, like right in my face. We'll see if this doesn't improve in a moment. Otherwise, I'll flip to the mic that works. Yeah, I think that. No, we're going to flip to the other mic. Check one. Check two. Think that ought to do it. Okay. So I was talking, of course, about John Stumpf at the Banking Committee hearing being questioned by Senator Elizabeth Warren. And once again, this is a new segment on our show that we're going to be calling Crime Pays. 1 second, let me just check in with this. Oh man, everybody's an audiophile. I'm doing a live show right at the moment. I'm not going to start messing with noise gates, right? And there is no noise gate, but there is a new USB interface. And yeah, I'm not sure what the issue is. If I record the stream and test the mic, sounds fine, no choppiness. If not, here we go. Yeah, it does sound fine now. So we're just going to continue, and I'm going to stop worrying about, you know what, all this stuff, because people just constantly complain. I've got 5 different mics here. And when I use one, somebody will say, your mic sounds really tinny. You need to use a different mic. So then I get a different mic, right? I get a different mic that's bottomy. And then somebody doesn't like that one. You know, it's just like, I give up. It sounds fine with the one that I prefer to use, which is this one. But that's not, it's not good enough for you audiophiles out there with your, I'm sure there's just so many people listening to my show tonight on an $80,000 stereo system, and the fan noise from this tiny Mac, bothers them somehow. But it is what it is, friends. Like I said, warts and all, we're going to forget about the audio issues and we're going to move forward with the show. This is our new segment, Crime Pays. Okay, so I'm going to put up our fair use banner here. Let me see. Because we're going to be sharing a video from a Senate hearing, but this is a transformative work. We're educating the public, and we're going to be critiquing the video that we are sharing. And this, of course, is covered under fair use. One second, friends. We're going to begin at about here, because this is where it gets good. And I got to say, not a huge fan of Elizabeth Warren, but I am a huge fan of the way she questioned this guy.
On television to blame thousands of $12 an hour employees who were just trying to meet cross-sell quotas that made you rich. This is about accountability. You should resign. You should give back the money that you took while this scam was going on, and you should be criminally investigated by both the Department of Justice and the Securities and Exchange Commission. This just isn't right. A cashier who steals a handful of 20s is held accountable, but Wall Street executives who almost never hold themselves accountable, not now and not in 2008 when they crushed the worldwide economy. The only way that Wall Street will change is if executives face jail time when they preside over massive frauds. We need tough new laws to hold corporate executives personally accountable, and we need tough prosecutors who have the courage to go after people at the top. Until then, it will be business as usual.
And I just want to stop the video for a moment to interject that this is several years ago, and so far there hasn't been any new laws to stop these fraudsters, and no, there hasn't been any tough prosecutors criminally prosecuting any of them.
And at giant banks like Wells Fargo, that seems to mean cheating as many customers, investors, and employees as they possibly can. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Strumpf, as you know, some of my colleagues and I sent you a letter last week about the board's plans to claw back compensation from senior executives who were responsible for overseeing this scam. Wells Fargo provided us with a response yesterday. I noticed that although we sent the letter to you, that the response actually came from somebody else in the company, which I guess is another example of holding yourself accountable. I want to focus now on the mysterious circumstances surrounding Carrie Tolsted's retirement in July. As you know, Ms. Tolsted ran the community banking division, the division where this scam occurred, for the entire time that the scam took place. She was in charge of all of the 5,300 employees who were fired, and she oversaw the creation of 2 million fake accounts. Now, in July of this year, just 2 months before the settlement was announced, and before those facts became public, Ms. Tolsted retired at age 56. You indicated in the letter, responding to our letter, that she walks away with over $90 million in stock options, and awards. Fortune magazine says it's actually about $125 million. But, and here's the key part, according to Fortune, if Ms. Tolsted had been fired instead of retiring, she would have had to forfeit as much as $45 million of that award. Mr. Stumpf, the response to our letter confirms that you knew of this scandal before Ms. Tolsted retired. It said, and this is from your letter, quote, senior management and the board were aware of the pending litigation, investigation, and discussions with our regulators relating to sales practices when Ms. Tolsted indicated her decision to retire. Is that accurate, Mr. Stumpf, what this letter says? Were you personally aware of the massive problem that occurred under Ms. Tolsted's watch in July when she announced her retirement?
I was aware of that. We were involved in discussions with the city attorney, the OCC, and the CFPB, yes.
So you had some indication there was a massive problem.
We had some indication that we had 1% of our people who were doing the wrong thing.
Also known as a massive problem.
Well,
Only 1% of his people did the wrong thing and defrauded over, what is it, 2 million customers out of monies? Only 1% of the people under his, command did anything wrong. It wasn't him.
If you knew this, did you consider firing Ms. Tolsted before she retired?
well, at the time, she was reporting to our president and chief operating officer.
It's a simple question.
No,
You knew there was a problem. Did you consider firing her?
No, because of her full.
Seriously? You found out that one of your divisions had created 2 million fake accounts, had fired thousands of employees for improper behavior, and had cheated thousands of your own customers, and you didn't even once consider firing her ahead of her retirement?
In fact, when I look at her full body of work, and I look at the customer.
No, before she started frauding everybody, she was a great employee. We didn't want to fire her. We let her retire with $100 million golden parachute. Come on.
Loyalty improvement and the customer service
Are
improvement.
you sure that those were not fake?
All the work that was done, she chose to retire. And I'd also like to make one other comment, because you made the.
So you, no, I'm just on this. You never considered firing her. So now Ms. Tolsted has apparently retired, but is also staying with the firm through the end of the year. And in the response to our letter, you state, or the person writing it states, quote, Ms. Tolsted is eligible to be considered for a 2016 annual incentive award. An incentive award for doing a great job?
She's getting an incentive award. She did a great job frauding all those customers out of money.
16? Mr. Stump, that is unbelievable. You are the chairman of the board and the CEO. In those roles, do you think it would be appropriate for Ms. Tolsted to get another bonus on top of the millions that she has already gotten as a reward for her role in this massive scam?
The board will consider that. I don't want to prejudice the board, but I also want to make one.
I don't understand.
He doesn't want to
that
prejudice the
answer.
board.
You and your board have already made changes. You've made changes to the compensation scheme for thousands of employees. You've sat here today and talked about that. You've removed sales quotas, I think you told us. You've reformed incentives. Why can that be done quick as a wink across the entire bank? But a question about cutting compensation for a highly placed executive who oversaw a massive fraud takes long deliberation? Why is that?
Because there's a board governance process and we want that.
The board
Whether
has to
Carrie
decide.
was retired or she was fired, there'd be no difference with respect to how the board can deal with that.
I'm sorry, if she was fired, it is my understanding she would not be entitled to large parts of her compensation. It's not just a clawback issue. We're talking about she doesn't get them to begin with if she gets fired, but you let her walk out of the door with a retirement. I don't quite understand. How do you explain this to your own shareholders?
There is a process that the board goes through and they will do that. They've already met and
Mr.
we want
Stump,
to give that.
I don't understand. You keep saying there's, the board, as if these are strangers that you met in a dark alley. Under the bylaws of Wells Fargo, and I'm quoting here, the chairman shall preside at all meetings of the board.
And-
You were able to make changes. Why can you not make a change here?
I'm not on the Human Resources Committee of the board. They have their own governance and structure. We want that to proceed in the process in which we have.
All right. So we'll do this your way. Our letter asked a number of questions about clawbacks of Ms. Tolsted's and other executives' pay, including.
Now she's not just going after the other high-ranking official. She's going to go after his take on this, which, my friends, was several $100 million. This CEO benefited several $100 million directly as a result of this total scam that was run on the customers, opening accounts without their knowledge, adding accounts without their knowledge, giving them credit card accounts without their knowledge or consent. He benefited to the tune of several $100 million because he owned so much stock, and because of artificially inflating false profits, the stock value went up.
Including yours.
Mhm.
Wells Fargo's answer to our letter was just basically you punted, that the decision would be up to the board, the same punt you've given here. So you're the chairman of the board. Let me ask it this way. Will you personally support clawing back all or part of Ms. Tolsted's pay?
I'm not going to in any way try to influence or prejudice the board as they do their deliberation.
So you have absolutely no opinion on this.
I'm not going to opine on that.
You're not going to opine on. You're going to say, get out there, defraud, cheat, lie, steal, and I have nothing to say about whether or not you ought to still be getting your bonus.
I've never said, and we never say as our company go out there and do any of those things. We try to do the right thing.
But you
every
say
day.
if you do them, you can count on Chairman Stump not to stand up and say you shouldn't get your incentive bonus.
The board has a process.
I think you started this whole thing by saying, don't tell me what you say, tell me what your actions are. And your actions are, people do this and you're not going to take a single step to shut it down. So I guess I can ask this question again. Will you personally support clawing back any or all of the pay for the person in charge of compliance, someone we haven't talked about much today, the person who is supposed to be responsible to make sure that the bank is following the law? Will you have any recommendation about that person?
I'm going to have the board do their process.
You are going to have no recommendation at all,
I
ever in this process?
Whatever the board accepts, and whatever they do, I will accept and I will support.
You are not passive here. If you have nothing to do, what are you doing serving as chairman of the board? If you have no opinions on the most massive fraud that has hit this bank since the beginning of time, how can it be that you actually get to continue to collect a paycheck for being chairman of the board?
Well, first of all, I disagree with the fact this is a massive fraud. But secondly, the board will do their work and I'm not going to prejudice their work. And I'll accept whatever they come up with and I will be supportive.
You know, you accepted all along as this fraud built up, this massive fraud. You accepted all of the performance bonuses based on the cross-selling that is at the heart of this. You watched your own stock go up by more than $200 million based in part on exactly this massive fraud. You got out of
That's a lot of cheddar.
Wall Street. and you said to Wall Street, hey, we are doing such a great job cross-selling here at Wells Fargo. You should tell everybody to buy our stock. And now you turn around and say, I shall remain passive and simply accept what Wells Fargo wants to do. You know, in 2008, Wall Street promised change, but it looks like it is business as usual. A giant bank cheats the little guys, and the executives line their own pockets. Mr. Stumpf, you make it clear that Wall Street won't change until we make it change. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, and that's it. And in a separate area of this interrogation led by Miss Warren, Senator Warren, she details how he had X number of stocks and how the value of the stock that he owned increased by some $200 million, which is quite a lot of money. And actually, other outlets like Fortune magazine estimated that Mr. Stumpf actually made more in the neighborhood of $235 million off of this fraud. And it's very interesting. So I'll ask the members of the live chat, was he prosecuted for this? Did he give back the $200 or $235 million that he gained from a scam? No, friends. He was not prosecuted criminally. Okay, so what did happen? Okay, so Stumpf stepped down as CEO and chairman of the board on October 12, 2016. In February 2018, Janet Yellen, you might recognize that name, on her last day as chair of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, approved a strongly worded critical letter to Stumpf to emphasize his failures as a co-chair of Wells Fargo Board of Directors. The letter, signed by Michael Gibson, Director of Supervision and Regulation, cited Stumpf's complicity in ignoring the bank's poor risk management programs and failure to initiate any serious investigation into its sales practices. So great. As far as other consequences, in September of 2016, Wells Fargo was fined $100 million by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, $50 million by the Comptroller of Currency, and $35 million by the City and County of Los Angeles for opening 2 million checking and credit card bank accounts without the consent of its customers. He was grilled by angry lawmakers. We saw a portion of that in Capitol Hill hearings before the U.S. Senate Banking Committee, as well as House Financial Services Committee. Stumpf was accused of cross-selling customers multiple accounts fraudulently when they did not need them, and using those results on quarterly reports for larger returns on Wells Fargo stock holdings. On September 27th, the Wall Street Journal reported that the board was considering cutting back on compensation for Stumpf and former retail banking head Carrie Tolstead. 2 days later, Stumpf again appeared before Congress, declaring his intent to forfeit at least $41 million in pay. He also testified that Wells Fargo will drop its sales incentive program by the end of the week. January 23rd, 2020, Stumpf agreed to a lifetime ban from the banking industry and a $17.5 million fine for his role in the fake account scandal. So if we just do a little math, he somehow forfeited $41 million in pay. And then he had to pay a fine of $17.5 million. But remember, he made $200 million off of the scam. So what do we learn here? We learn that you can scam millions of people, right? As long as you wear the right shirt and tie, you can scam millions of people and make $200 million, and all you lose is about 60, really 57 or so, 57.5. You're going to walk away with over $140 million from running a scam of this type, from allowing a scam of this type. So I just want to say, really, congratulations to John Stumpf. He's our first award winner on our new segment here, Crime Pays, because for John Stumpf, crime really did pay. Very impressed with how he was able to scammed millions of people with his company. He was in charge. No consequences, no jail time, bro. Good for you, no jail time. But hey, he had to pay a $15 million fine out of that $200 million he made. He might have lost some other money. Poor guy. But he still walked with $140 million, so he's worthy of note here. Okay, friends. Let me do some house cleaning here and get rid of that. So, yeah, that's kind of how our crime pays segment is going to go. But my friends, we're going to go on with our show here. Because our next segment is on the dark side. Every once in a while, I come across a really crazy, dark story, and we'd like to cover it here. But again, maybe not enough to do a full show on, but we're going to try it in this new format. So, friends, you're watching Truth Seekers. I'm Stephen Cambion. Welcome to the dark side. Okay, friends, so welcome to the dark side. And this is a crazy story. I call it the strange case of the humanzee. Humanzee, you say? What's a humanzee? Well, friends, it would appear that there has been actual experiments into creating a human chimpanzee hybrid. That's right. Somebody's trying to make a half ape, half man creature. Not somebody, multiple people. In fact, there are multiple stories of various people who have experimented with trying to create something called a humanzee. Half human, half chimpanzee. Now, when I first came across this story, I just thought, this is a crazy story. This can't be real. But it appears that there is substantial and supportive evidentiary support that parts of this story is true. And for those of you who are wondering, right, what is exactly the humanzee looks like, I'm going to show you some artist depictions that I have previously shared on Twitter here. Yeah, that's a little scary. It's a humanzee, friends. It's half human and half chimpanzee. Now, there's a lot of research materials about this, believe it or not. In 2006, in his 2006 book Next, the late author Michael Crichton tells the story of a scientist who crosses his own genes with a chimpanzee to create a human-ape hybrid, a humanzee. But is such a thing really possible? And if so, has it already been done? The truth is that man has been crossbreeding animals for longer than recorded history. But one of his greatest accomplishments may be creating, 100, 150 different species of dogs. And those species can vary in appearance greatly from something like a tiny Chihuahua to something like, an immense, Great Dane, right? But despite their differing sizes and shapes, however, all dogs are only one species, which of course is Canis lupus, the common dog related to the gray wolf. Over the centuries, man has manipulated dogs by mating them in such a way as to give them whatever shapes, sizes, and temperaments we found useful, or at least pleasing to people, right? And while dog breeding takes place inside a single species, it's also possible to cross two closely related animals from different species, and we as humans have done that. The resulting creature is known as a hybrid. The most familiar of these would be a mule. A mule comes from crossing a male donkey and a female horse. And of course, the combination gives a hybrid of some of the best characteristics of both parents, right? You get the best of both of those species. This is why crossbreeding has been done. One of my favorite hybrids is the liger, which is the hugest cat ever. It's a cross between a lion and a tiger, right? You gotta love that Napoleon Bonaparte ligers, right? But a humanzee, is that even possible? In order to create a hybrid between two species, the species, of course, have to be closely related, and like horses and donkeys or lions and tigers. The closest living animal to Homo sapiens is, of course, the chimpanzee. According to recent studies, 99.4% of the functional parts of the human and chimpanzee's DNA is exactly the same. This is so close that some scientists are suggesting that the common chimpanzee and another close relative, which is the bonobo — I always thought they looked the same to me, but they're separate species — should be reclassified, along with humans, with the rest of the great apes. So humans and chimps are very close DNA sequences, but the DNA is arranged differently. And there's some other problems. For example, humans have 46 chromosomes and chimps only have 48 chromosomes. But this is not necessarily a deal breaker, because horses have 64 chromosomes and donkeys have 62, but can still be crossed to create a mule. So in fact, several scientists, a few of whom I talked to and said, "Don't you dare use my name," said that they believe it may be entirely possible to cross a human with a chimpanzee. Now, scientists have also found evidence that in our DNA that human ancestors and chimp ancestors interbred as recently as 1.2 million years ago. How's that? 1.2 million years ago, chimpanzees' ancestors and our human ancestors were getting it on. And that may have created hybrid human-ape creatures. So it may be possible that humans are actually the descendants of a hybrid of a chimp ancestor that crossed with another human line that has since died out. But where this story gets really crazy is in more modern times. Because despite these problems of combining humans and chimpanzees, at least one scientist tried to create such a creature. And this is on record as a historical fact. This was the controversial Russian biologist Ilya Ivanovich. Ivanov was a 20th century researcher that specializes in creating and studying hybrid creatures. In fact, he's the person responsible for all but inventing artificial insemination. So he used artificial insemination to create hybrid animals. Eventually, he decided that he wanted to try to create a hybrid human chimpanzee. Like I said, this is where the story gets crazy. 1 second, we're going to show some other possible artist interpretations here. So this is a graphic of combining a human and a chimpanzee, something that this Russian scientist was keen and very determined, from what I've read, to try to make a reality. That one's pretty scary. Yeah, friends. So basically, this Russian scientist, while working at the Pasteur Institute in Paris, excuse me, in Paris, he got his chance. Somehow, he got permission to use the primate research facility in French Guinea as the laboratory for his experiments, and got some money from the Russian Academy of Sciences to pay for them. So Ivanov arrived only to find it had no sexually mature chimpanzees to work with. So in November 1926, he traveled to the botanical gardens in French New Guinea and set up shop there. Several adult chimpanzees from the interior of the country were brought to him, and he artificially inseminated 3 female chimpanzees with human sperm, though none, it appears, became pregnant. He was also interested in trying to impregnate human females with chimp sperm, but officials in New Guinea balked at this idea. When he turned to Russia in 1927, he designed an experiment to try to impregnate 5 female human volunteers. but was hampered by the lack of a male chimp to provide the sperm. In 1930, Ivanov fell out of favor with the government, was arrested, and spent the rest of his life in exile. Now, along with this story also comes the strange case of Oliver the chimp. Some of you may have heard this story. This is a chimp that walked upright. He had a hairless face. Really was a crazy, crazy thing, and a sort of a circus attraction. But Oliver the chimp was DNA tested and found to be 100% chimpanzee. So, friends, I don't know what to think of this one, but this is the story from the dark side of the humanzee. I have found additional sourcing where other people claim that other people have done experiments and actually created and brought a human chimpanzee hybrid to full term and birth. And we're going to cover that on a future segment here on the dark side. So, friends, moving right along to the next segment of our show here. Okay. I don't know about you, but I find myself trying really hard to not see signs of the apocalypse around me. Funny I should have to say that, but if you look at the news, you look at enough stuff on the internet, you begin to see signs that the apocalypse just may be imminent. I'm trying not to. I'm really trying not to. But while I still do sometimes, these are my notes from the apocalypse. Okay, friends, so notes from the apocalypse. Let's hope it's not a zombie apocalypse. Never liked zombie movies. Okay, so I found something that I wanted to share, and it's going to come as bad news for some people, especially people who are fans of prophetic psychics, as I know some of you actually are, right? This would be what did Nostradamus have to say about 2021? Do we really want to know? I didn't want to know, but I had to read it, and now I have to share it. So, friends, in our notes from the Apocalypse series, here we're sharing, and this is fair use from news18.com, zombie apocalypse, famines, and asteroids. These are Nostradamus's scary predictions for 2021. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse than it already is in 2020, a French philosopher has predicted zombies, famine, and asteroids for the year 2021. Michel de Nostradamus, French physician, pharmacist, and philosopher's predictions have been known to come true in the past. He's widely known for his book, Les Prophéties, which contains his predictions expressed in verses called quatrains. Nostradamus has talked about prophecies that could have been fulfilled in the past and continue to shock the world, despite being written 5 centuries ago. So here we go, the zombie apocalypse. In the book, he writes about a few young people would be half dead to give a start. Yearly horoscope states that this indicates a possible zombie apocalypse is in the cards, and a biological weapon will be created by a Russian scientist which would extinct us all. Sounds like a script right out of a sci-fi movie, right? Biblical famine. He also talked about how after the great trouble for humanity, a greater one is prepared, which will be of rain, blood, milk, famine, steel, and plague. This suggests that the early signs of the apocalypse would be epidemics, famine, and earthquake. It also warns us that that illnesses more dreadful than coronavirus will take place next year. So, friends, I don't know. I would have liked to give you some good news, but it's not looking good for 2021, according to Nostradamus, if you believe that sort of thing. And we're just going to leave it at that. I don't want to think about a giant asteroid impacting Earth. I think we have enough things to worry about right at the moment, right? So, friends, in the next part of our series is power and privilege. And this is just something I noticed yesterday, which is a great story about how much our leaders, our senators, really care about us. Really, it really tugged at my heartstrings, excuse me, how much some of our senators uh, and leadership, those rich elite people that are our leaders in Washington. It's beautiful how much those guys really care about us. Really, really. So, this is our new series, new segment, friends. It's called Power and Privilege. Okay, and we're going to be sharing an article. So this is fair use. This is the transformative work, and we're educating the public and critiquing the news article we're sharing, not video. And this, of course, is covered under fair use, friends. Okay. So here we are, friends. Ted Cruz faces backlash after photos reportedly showing him flying to Cancun in Texas' deadly winter storm. And by the way, he's facing criticism after unverified images suggesting he left Texas on Wednesday. It's since been admitted by Mr. Cruz that he did indeed go to Cancun. Now, for those of you begrudging, a rich, overworked senator, right, a vacation in Cancun, it's really about optics, isn't it? Because right now in Texas, I believe it's still millions of people are without power. And what people don't realize is when you don't have power, you don't have heat. It's electric ignition, even on gas heaters, oil heaters, right? Electric heaters aren't going to work if there's no power. So while millions, potentially millions of people are freezing in their homes in Texas, their senator hopped on a plane to Cancun, go on vacation with his family. And again, this is an older article. It says Cruz hasn't commented. Yes, he did. So he faced a barrage of criticism as unverified images said to show him taking a flight out of the storm-ravaged state circulated on Twitter on Wednesday. And as I said, those photos has since been verified as being absolutely true. And here we see. And Twitter erupted on him. Senator Cruz is flying to Cancun while millions of Texans do not have electricity. Like I said, I'm just blown away by how much he really cares about his constituents. David Schuster just confirmed Senator Ted Cruz and his family flew to Cancun tonight for a few days at a resort they visited before. Cruz seems to believe there isn't much for him to do in Texas for the millions of fellow Texans who remain without electricity and water and are literally freezing. But listen, David Schuster, it's okay because those people have been told, build a campfire in your backyard, melt some snow, get yourself a tent and some sleeping bags for inside your house. You'll be fine. The power will be back on in a few weeks, I guess. Right? And more people showed photos of him sitting on the plane. It has since been verified that he, yes, indeed, flew to Cancun. Now, he just released a statement earlier today claiming that his daughters wanted to go on vacation with their friends, and he was just being a good father flying them down there, and he was coming right back. Bullshit. I'm sorry. No. He was going on vacation with his family, right? Why stay in freezing cold Texas with all that suffering and no heat in your house? You can just go to Cancun because you have the power and the privilege to do that. What worries me most about this story is not the sudden realization that this is how much our leaders think of us, right? What really bothers me is that this clown didn't even consider the optics of how bad it would look for him to go on vacation in sunny Cancun while all his constituents were suffering with no power and no water. But this is the world that we live in. And these are the clowns that we hire to be our leaders. And friends, if there is any justice in the world, if there is really karma, somebody's got to run against him in the next election that he's up for. And make this the sole issue of the campaign. You flew to Cancun, bro, when everybody was freezing and suffering. You went on vacation to Cancun, Mexico with your family, and then he got caught. See, here's the problem. Mr. Ted Cruz has a lot of power and a lot of privilege, but he hasn't figured out that when he does shit like this, he needs a private plane so that people can't take pictures of him and bust him doing stupid things like this. So my advice for Ted Cruz is buy a private plane. That and consider the private sector, bro, because I have a feeling that you're going to be facing quite a challenge in your next election. What are you going to do, friends? This is how much our leadership cares about us. The few, the privileged, the powerful don't care about us. And maybe, just maybe, friends, they never did. Okay, but along with all of this bad news, friends, I don't want to just bring you bad news. So we have one final segment left in our series here. Unless I'm wrong, let me go through my checklist. Yeah, oh, we made it through. We've got one final segment that I'm calling the good news. Because I got to tell you, friends, I get enough bad news, right? Every once in a while, I'm reminded, every so often, I'm reminded that I still have a little bit of faith, just a little bit of faith left in humanity. And that, my friends, is the good news. If you look hard enough, you will. Sometimes you got to look hard. But if you look hard enough, my friends, you will find the good news. You're watching Truth Seekers. I'm Stephen Cambion, and this is the good news. Okay, friends. So as I mentioned, I want to share some good news. We need it. We all need some good news. And every once in a while, I do find a story that restores a little bit of my faith in humanity. And again, this is fair use. We're going to be discussing and critiquing this video. We are sharing now. We're using this for educational purposes to let people know that not all humans are scumbags. There's actually still some good people left, and I'm happy to see that. So this, my friends, is the good news. I'm going to be sharing this, and this is from Spectrum News 1, and it's a really good story about how sometimes if you humbly ask for help, you just may get it. Let me do this one more time, friends. That share audio button still bothers me. Okay, now we got it.
On a cold day in Lincoln County, Bubba Martin is grateful. It was a cold day just like this one in 2019 when Martin was working for a roofing company. But he had no work because it had rained all week.
And I walked down to Lowe's because that's where all the contractors meet. And I said, well, I'll find me some work day.
Wearing his work belt, he ran into Vernon Browning.
For the second run on the other side of the building.
I said, is there any way you can help a man out with a day's wage?
I said, well, I said, I really don't need anybody right now. And as I started walking away, I turned around and I said, you know what? A man's going to stand out here with his tool belt and ask for work. He's not begging for money or nothing like that. I said, I'm going to give him a shot. I said, come on with me.
I got too much of everything, I think.
As Browning gave him a ride home, Martin threw him a warning.
He said, Mr. Browning, he said, don't judge me for where I'm staying.
109 Hoover Street, Lincoln.
Martin was homeless.
At least I wasn't staying in a tent somewhere out in the cold.
He was spending his nights in this abandoned home.
He's a very hard worker. He's never late. I hollered him down some numbers, and I said, Mr. Martin, I need you to cut this for me. And as I looked down, I seen that he was reading his tape measure, but he was like this.
Martin was blind in one eye and could hardly see out of his left one.
He could see how bad my eyes was. He said, "Can you see it all?" And I said, "Mr. Brown, I didn't want to tell you I can't see." I said, "Because most people won't work you like that."
Browning continued to give him work.
Just pick up, don't get on the ladder, and don't use no tools.
Even with all this bad stuff going on in the world today, you know what I'm saying? There's still people like that man right there that's out here and didn't know me from nobody. And just took time out of his busy schedule. It's just overwhelming. And now we build a friendship.
Browning and his family helped him find a doctor to fix his sight.
I mean, I can see now. He took me to my appointments. I don't mean get choked up.
Browning said he's not sure what made him change his mind that day in Lowe's.
There's a time when I couldn't even see to do this, wasn't it? Remember that?
I really, I don't know. I guess the man above had told me to turn around, because I turned around and you know, he's standing out there with his belt. So that told me that he was willing to work.
Martin has also found a place to live, and Browning is helping him fix it up.
I do anything for that man. That's how much he means to me.
All my life, I've tried to help out people. That's just my nature, and I've had help myself. So I believe everybody deserves a second chance.
There we are, friends. Sorry about that. There's still some good news left in the world. I'm always glad when I see there's at least a few decent humans left on planet Earth, right? Think about the loyalty that once homeless man is going to show to his new employer going forward. I hope he stays with him. I hope he starts his own business, you know, but it's very often that people will, you know, I grew up in the city. Everybody asks you for money. Nobody asks you for a day's wage. And I've been in a position to be able to give people a day's wage. And I got to say, a lot of times it doesn't work out too good for me, right? But sometimes you have to take that chance in order to help somebody. You know, I used to have a friend, and we would do things in Center City, and he would give money to every homeless person that asked him, you know, and sometimes I would say, you know, they're just going to buy drugs with that. And he would say, well, what if they really are hungry and they need to buy a sandwich, or, you know? So there are times when it really does. I don't know, me, I'm hardened by the city for so many scammers and so many people that are out there begging for money to get high. It makes you cynical and it makes you bitter, right? And you get to a point where you don't want to help anybody. I can't tell you how many times I've heard somebody say, "Oh, my car ran out of gas. Can you give me some money for the," you know, and in my younger years, I gave a guy $5, and then no car, no gas tank, right? You know, but sometimes it does really help to listen. If somebody is going to humbly ask you for your assistance and not just be begging for money to get high, right? I wish the best for all those people. And I heard Brandon Young say this. I always buy food. Yeah, I do that. Like if there's a guy standing outside of Wawa, and he asks me for money to get something to eat, then I go in and buy him I say, "What kind of sandwiches do you like?" And then I go in and buy him a sandwich, and I give him the sandwich. Then at least I know he didn't get high with that, right? I'm not sure who Hank McGurk. Not sure who you're talking about, Hank McGurk. What is this? I don't want her, and she doesn't want you. Okay. So this is an experiment in a new format here. Yeah, Victor Surge, you could be right. Who are we to judge or despair of someone who lives on the street? I was homeless, literally slept on park benches for a while. So I know a little something about, the plight of the homeless. I always try to help them, but I don't like to give people just cash and hope that they're not going to buy drugs with it, because unfortunately, a lot of them will, Mr. Surge. Yeah, I give money even to the homeless alcoholic if the spirit moves me. Who am I to judge? Yeah, I guess you're right. Okay. Gave a dude $20 for a chicken once. I was like, yeah, right. Crack incoming. Nope. I saw him walking down the street with a huge bucket of KFC. Well, see, there you go. There's more good news. There's a happy ending to the story. I'm not sure what that's about either. Thanks for the share, Stephen. BG show. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're welcome. So I'm not sure, there's a lot of Twitter nonsense, drama that I could talk about, but I'm gonna do my best not to talk about that kind of stuff. But boy, drama. I got informed today that every one of my guests on the Roswell Revisited series is a paid government disinformation agent, and I should be ashamed of myself for platforming known disinformation agents. And I kept asking for proof, but all I got was this guy. I'm a keyboard warrior. Fuck you, Steve Cambion. Okay. An alien scientist is here and says I need more subscribers. Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. But according to that person, you're a government disinformation agent, alien scientist. So I don't think that we should trust anything you say. And by the way, this is going to be a short show because at 9 p.m. tonight, I'm moving up in the world, friends. I'm moving up. Forget this shit show that I run here, right? I'm going to be on Alien Scientist stream tonight. So 1 second, I'm going to find his YouTube channel real quickly, and I'm going to copy it into the live chat so you can all come at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and check out what we'll be talking about tonight. I think we're going to be talking about Roswell and some of the guests that we have had on, but also I hope that we're going to be getting into some of these recent documents, FOIA documents provided by Anthony Bergalia, because I'm still trying to make sense of some of that. And I think Mr. Jeremy Rise has gotten deeper down that rabbit hole than I have so far. Yeah. So I've put the Alien Scientists YouTube channel. You're probably already subscribed to him. Everybody is. But if not, go subscribe to him and be sure to check out his channel 9 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. And also, another announcement. Speaking of Roswell Revisited, right? This Sunday night at 9 p.m., we're going to continue our series. We will have Mr. Don Schmidt, who is the author of Witness to Roswell, Children of Roswell, and countless other books, many of which are surrounding Roswell. He has been really deep diving into the Roswell event almost longer than I've been alive. But, if you listen to stupid people on Twitter, all I have is government disinformation agents, right? So this Sunday night, friends, breaking news, this Sunday, February 21st, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, another Truth Seeker special event, this time revisiting Roswell with Don Schmidt. And here's Mr. Don Schmidt, his book, Witness to Roswell, the Roswell Dig Diaries, which is a lesser-known book. This is all about that archaeological digs that they've done at the Roswell crash site. And again, Mr. Don Schmidt has authored books both with Kevin Randall and with our previous guest, Thomas Carey. And you may be familiar with some of those books. And just a note, I said I wasn't going to talk about this Twitter drama too much, but I will say this. we are welcoming still all the world's experts, researchers, and authors on the Roswell event onto this series. And if people are going to be critical or not like this guest or that guest, there's nothing that I can do for you. Go do your own. That's my advice. If you don't like my show, you don't need to spend 3 hours on Twitter, slagging me. Go do your own. Go. It's simple. You get a webcam, right? You just get a webcam. You start a YouTube channel. Start your own show, right? And we'll see the quality of your show against mine. I don't really. I do have a thick skin, really. I do. But at some point, I just can't argue with idiots and stupid people. We've had what most people that are familiar with this field would describe as some of the world's leading authors, researchers, and experts on the Roswell event. What more am I supposed to do covering that? How can I do that better? If some clown on Twitter is just going to say, well, all of your guests were government disinformation. That's ridiculous. First of all, I said, show us some pay stubs. Prove what you're saying is true. Of course they're not going to do that. Of course they're not going to prove the bullshit that they're shoveling on Twitter. And by the way, I got several messages today. I don't want to say several. I got two. I got two messages today that told me that another show host wound up that clown and sent him out to mess with me on Twitter. So congratulations to that show host clown, right? And to the clown on Twitter. You did good. You got a rise out of me, right? Because I work pretty hard at this. And I don't really care if you like it or dislike it. That's fine. And you can have dialogue with me. But when you start making ridiculous, baseless slander, really, and accusations against my guests with no proof, no evidence, come on, friends. Let's just unpack this just a little bit. According to this person, Cal Korff is a known, this is a quote, known paid government disinformation agent, right? Number two, Kevin Randall is a known paid government disinformation agent. Okay. Alien scientist Jeremy Rise is a known paid disinformation agent. Okay. What is your evidence for these allegations? Well, I don't have any, but I listen to some absolutely known, proven known government disinformation agent on this other guy's show that said that your guys are all disinformation agents. Okay, this is the lunacy that we've devolved into, and I'm supposed to debate with some jerk off who listened to some other show that had an absolutely positively known paid disinformation agent say that there's disinformation agents in ufology, and suddenly my show has all of them, right? It doesn't matter that I got those shows booked, right? I got those guests and that other show host hasn't had those guests in a long time, right? So this isn't some pissing contest or jealousy or bitter thing, right? They have real and actionable evidence and intelligence for these allegations that they're making, disparaging me, my guests, my show. Of course they don't. They got nothing. They got some guy who lives in his mom's basement, who smells like BO at every UFO conference, saying that I am some sort of CIA shill now. Okay, listen, I guess I missed the paychecks. I haven't been getting them. So somebody call the CIA and get my paychecks sent here right now. It's so ridiculous that I even have to talk about this. And you know what? I don't block people, but that guy I blocked because he's getting nasty, argumentative, abusive, slandering people, making all these allegations. And I asked him 10 times, where's the proof? Show us the proof of this stuff you're saying. Well, some guy on another show who worked for the Air Force and, I forgot to mention, he was a disinformation agent for real, a verified disinformation agent. Oh, by the way, Walter Bosley, he's also a paid government disinformation agent coming on my show. And so is Thomas J. Carey. The ridiculousness of these allegations speak for themselves. Am I really? Actually, maybe they give me too much credit because apparently I'm not just some loser, right? Running a show that barely anybody watches, right? I'm a big deal now. I'm a CIA mastermind, and I'm the guy that's bringing in all these CIA mastermind disinformation agents, right, to muddy the waters and throw people off about the truth about aliens, bro. I'm the mastermind. Thank you. I'm the new mastermind, the disinformation mastermind. And let's add this to the ridiculousness. There have been people on the Roswell series who absolutely positively are convinced and support the theory that what crashed at Roswell was aliens, right? That we recovered bodies, we recovered wreckage, it went to Wright-Patterson, right? We've had alien scientists who's much more interested in just the science and getting hold of these materials. We've had Cal Korff, who is an absolutely staunch skeptic and says none of this happened. There's no aliens, there's no alien bodies, there's no alien spaceships. It was a weather balloon, right? And then we've even had Walter Bosley, who has his own theories that is neither alien hypothesis or it was just a weather balloon, right? He's got his own ideas and his own theories. What disinformation agent would present, what disinformation show would present all of those perspectives, all of those opinions from different researchers with differing opinions and different levels of knowledge of the event? Why would anybody know? If you were a disinformation agent working for the government, I guess, and if the alien hypothesis was real, you would just present all the skeptics, right? And you wouldn't let the people supporting the alien hypothesis thing on the series or the show if you were trying to disinform people. It makes no sense. But this is where we're at. Yeah. Next, I'll be accused of being a handler. Yes, I'm all their handlers. I'm all their handlers. I'm handling all those guys. I'm the mastermind here. I'm the mastermind, right? Alien scientists, if you work for government disinfo, why haven't they invited you to Alien Con? I know, right? I could be a good alien conner. Come on, alien scientists, get me a gig. We should both get a gig, bro, next year. We deserve a gig, right? We're up and coming. I just, I was pissed off earlier. I really was. I worked real hard at this. And, I try to be rational with this person and say, like, look, I'm inviting all these different world-renowned experts, authors, researchers on my show. Thank God some of them are actually showing up, right? And we're going to do this deep dive into Roswell. I want to get to the truth of what really happened at Roswell, no matter what that truth is. If it's aliens, great. If it's secret space flights, early space flights, great. If it's a weather balloon, great. But I want to get to the truth of the mystery. And that's what we're trying to do here. So we oh man. V says Cambion sucked as my handler. Yeah, I was terrible. I tried to get you some gigs, V. Tell everybody about your grandpop, the alien, Valiant Thor. It just didn't work out for us. I don't know. Yeah, friends. So, and listen, as far as this new show format, this is not going to be every show, but once in a while, we're going to do a show with these different sort of segments so that we can sort of plug different stories in, give people a little bit more of a buffet of interesting stories to talk about, to think about, to experience. Just an idea that I had. We will still be doing a long format show, and we'll still, of course, be doing interview shows when I'm kind enough to, when I'm lucky enough to get some kind guests that will come on here and be guests on the show. Spooky says, format really worked. Yeah, good. I worked pretty hard on this. I had no idea how to do this when I started, and then I went, well, I guess I need some bumpers, Spooky. I need some bumpers, and then I could put the bumper and then do the story and put the bumper and do the story. So, yeah, we're going to try to do that. A buffet of, What did I say about the Boz? I didn't say anything about. I like Walter Bosley. Yeah, I forgot. I got to message everybody that has been in the Roswell Revisited series and let them know that they should expect a check from the government for being paid disinformation agents. And you know what's great is that dude is always, how do I say this politely? He's always just on the jock of this other show host that winds him up, right? So that guy can have anybody on, you know, Corey Good, David Wilcock, and that guy's totally great, right? But I have respected authors and researchers. And some of those guys in that series wrote 30 books, 50 books. No, I think Kevin Randall wrote over 100 books. But he's a slouch guest and a disinformation agent. Just you know, and also, listen, I want to make a very important point. Somewhere in this Twitter beef drama-rama, I said, I'm not taking complaints unless you join my Patreon. At least give me $1 before you complain at me all day. Because I have things to do. I don't have time, right? And then he starts sending me receipts of like people he claims, other show hosts that he claims he sent money to. But the truth is that he's been complaining to me about my show for literally years. He complained about my radio show every so often. Now he's complaining about this show. And my point is, you watch every show, right? But apparently all I do is create hundreds of hours of content for that guy to complain to me about. So I said something like, give me $1 on Patreon or I'm not listening to your complaints. And then he turned it into, I'm a money hungry grubber or so, you know, like, okay, because I get a whole $100 on Patreon every month. Yeah. If I'm a money grubber, I'm doing it wrong because I'm doing all this for $25 a week, bro. And it ain't even that because that $100 goes to whatever, microphones, stuff. I don't know. You know, I don't really get that money. But my point is, I don't care about the money. What I care about is that this guy has complained to me about my show on many, many different occasions for literally years. And he has never cared enough about my show, even after watching every single episode I produce and then telling me everything I did wrong, right? He has not cared enough to give me a single dollar towards making the show better. But he's going to complain every time he doesn't like something. So for me, it's not about the money. It's about the, you know, just the ridiculousness of some guy who's constantly watching hours and hours of your material and then being a big, huge critic, right? And then, again, telling me everything that he can do great and that I'm not a good researcher and he is. Okay, then do your own show, bro. Go ahead. Good luck. Come back to me in 12 shows and tell me how shitty I am, right? You might learn some shit, bro. Go do 12 of your own shows, right? We'll see how you do, right? You know, we'll see the quality of guests you get, right? We'll see how you do. And then you can come back to me and tell me after you've done what I've done, accomplished what I've accomplished, how shitty I'm doing, right? Friends, it is always the guy who is too afraid to have the balls that you have to do the things that you're doing, right? That is going to be critical, right? That's going to tell you everything you're doing wrong. And I'm fine with criticism. Ask some people close to me. Some people say, you ought to do this, you ought to try this, you ought to do this better. And I work on it. I really do. From people that I know that do a show, right? But if you're just some slob on Twitter, you know, keyboard warrioring it up, right, in mom's basement, then I don't give a shit about you. I don't. I said something, and then somebody else said I was nasty because they said, I'm going to block this guy because I'm not going to argue with a guy that I won't even piss on if he was on fire. Like, literally, that's how little I care about this guy. Why am I going to spend, 3 hours back and forth with the troll defending my show and my guests? Just not going to do it. That's what the block button's for. Adios, bro. Good luck. Good luck to you. Yes, alien scientists, this is what the point that I'm trying to make. I have successful people I can rely on for constructive criticism. I don't need advice from some slob fanboy. Yeah, and that's it. Disinfonauts get the best weed. You may be right, Pragmagic. In fact, I'm sure you're right. Wasn't he blocked by church? I don't know, but I was. I definitely was. And by the way, he chimed in on that all that drama, Brandon Young. It's all over Twitter. It's great. Karen Rocha, welcome. Welcome to the live chat. Karen Rocha. Hey, Stephen, did Sarah Adams ever message you after your series on her? No. And yeah, I just got blocked by her and I think her manager guy. So the context says, I only take criticism from Davey Clowncock. Yeah. Yeah, and listen, Daniel, you do a show, so you know how hard it is. I've never had somebody that tried to do their own show be that nasty to me, right? It's always the guy that's never done it that's going to tell you everything you're doing wrong, going to tell you how they would do it better. They're better at research than you, and this and that. Okay. My point is, go do your own. Let's see how good you do, bro. I hope you do better than me. Good luck. Let's see how good you do, right? Because it's just I guess I've experienced this my whole life. It's always the guy that can't do what you do that's going to tell you that you're not good enough at it. Okay, but I'm doing it. I'm here every day. Every day I show up and I work on this thing, right? And it may not be good, but I show up every day and I work on it. So that's more than I can say for that slob, right? I really think somebody pissed in that guy's Cheerios because it was just like I woke up today and somewhere around lunchtime he starts going off on me about all kinds of nonsense. And then, you feel the need. You do feel the need. Like, I got to defend myself. I got to defend my guest because he's basically slandering my guest. And oh, by the way, clown, great. Thanks. That's a great way to help me get better guests to just shit all over the last bunch of guests that I've had. That's great because that's what guests coming on my show want to see after they've given me their time and their experience and their knowledge and their expertise. They want to see some clown all over my Twitter slandering them and calling them government disinformation agents because that won't negatively impact their reputation or anything, right? I have a feeling that the person making these comments owns nothing, right? And has nothing to lose. So, he doesn't care. He can slander you all day with no proof. No, what am I going to do? Yeah. Thank you for your warm welcome. I love the show. Well, we're glad to see you here. I think this is the first time I've seen you in our live chat. And if so, welcome. Thank you very much. Oh, and by the way, we'll just attend to some business here. There's a few ways to support our show here at the risk of being a money grubber, right? So we would appreciate your financial support to continue the show. There's two ways that you can help us with a couple of bucks. One is to make a one-time PayPal donation. And the links to do that are in the About section. But please, 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 if you do send a PayPal donation, add a note and give me your chat room user ID, and I will give you a shout out live on air. That's the least I could do. I appreciate your generosity and support very much. The other way, of course, is to, and I just checked in with the PayPal. We don't have any new PayPal donations to shout out, but our last one was a kind donation from Jonathan Ledford. Genocide. Sorry. Not paying attention, genocide. I apologize. All right. And Patreon will check if you become a Patreon supporter, and that's as little as $1 a month. Then we shout you out live on air. But it looks like we have no new Patreon supporters for quite some time. But if you do become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1 a month, we shout you out on live on air here. So that's my get over that. And one more way that you can really help and support the show. Everybody says it because it works. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And please also consider sending our channel address to some friends, because if you enjoy this content, some of your friends might enjoy it as well. And that could help us grow much faster than we have been. Just copy the channel link address and send it to some friends, DM, PM, whatever it takes. 1 second, friend. Yeah, so that's my speech for that. And there we have it. Now I'll focus on the live chat. Brandon Young says the good news was a great segment. Yeah, thanks. I try to think into these segments that we could always plug stories into. We're always going to find stories about power and privilege. We're always going to find stories about how crime pays, but only for the rich. And we're always going to find a little bit of good news. We're going to find some apocalypse news too. And I have a few others. I have one called the Riot Report, right? Karen Rocha, you just go to the About section of our channel here, or let me see, the PayPal donate is, if you send a PayPal, it goes right to truthseekershow@gmail.com. And that'll make its way to me. Yeah, so I don't know. I like the idea of these segments though, because it's a little more, it gives us a chance to add a little more production. I'm struggling to try to figure out what else to do to improve the show. But one of the things that I thought was maybe I could add more production value to the show by playing more video bumpers. After all, it's a video show. You got to forgive me, guys, coming from a background of doing a radio show for so long. You go, oh, it's video. We should have nice video bumpers and intros and outros and exits and things like that, right? Yes, and I agree. Somebody said we should have Dan on the show. I have had Dan on the show, and you missed it, Pragmagic, because you're a slacker. You're a slacker, Pragmagic, and you didn't even know that we've already had Dan on, I think, a few times. He was on the Midnight Hour show, too, I think. And maybe he was on Truthseekers once or maybe twice already now. I think twice he was on. And you missed it, Pragmagic. Dan says he's working on a more important project at the moment. We'll get you all guys. Yeah, it's got to be more important than being on this show, the context, Daniel. Yeah, I think everyone needed a little good news. Somebody asked about super chats. We hit the monetization numbers a month ago, and we're waiting for YouTube to review something and turn the super chats on, which I can't tell you. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what happened, Mario. Oh, thanks. That's very nice of you. See, the best part about your show, Stephen, is your personality injected into all the artistic elements. Yeah. I see that a lot with you. I'm jealous. Daniel's much better at a lot of this video editing than me. But what you saw tonight, Daniel, is just me playing around with his video editors, trying to figure out how to do some of this stuff. I mean, I've done like short film projects way back in the day when you had to like film stuff with a VHS and then digitize it and then get it on a CD and upload it to the computer, and it took ages, and it was like 144p. And then later I did like 720p music videos, a lot of. But this is a different thing, trying to make this kind of stuff. So I'm really trying to work on it. When is the next mask show? Yeah, I don't know. And I saw that thing you guys did, Spooky. I want you to PM me on Facebook or hit me up on Twitter and tell me what software you're using to do that. And please tell me that it's on a computer and not a phone. The filters that you and Keats were using, I want some of that. And I have some more good news, actually. Originally, I have graphics too that like go behind me for the different segments of the show like this. And I tried to get this green screen. I have a green screen that goes in front of this working, but the lighting in here is terrible. But I did order some lights. I think that we'll have the green screen going the next time we're able to do a variety show like this. Customize everything. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Somebody asked again about the super chat thing. Nope, still no super chat thing. I did everything I could do, Melissa. I'm just waiting for YouTube to turn it on. And I can't tell you how much I hope they turn it on fast, because we're going on more than a month here. And they say it takes about a month for them to review. I don't know what's going on. Mario Heath, don't be so mean. He's like, no, Melissa, are you not paying attention? Jeez. Yeah. It's, the Alien Opera was pure. Snap camera app. All right, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to. The Snap camera app is going to ruin all of our shows. Mark my words. Yeah, I agree with you though, Pragmagic. Like some of those filters look like they would almost work for me, but not quite. And you can't customize them. So like I don't think they look that good. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it looks pretty good, but I think like that maybe that's alpha or it's like 1.0. It's not really there yet. It's really not there yet. Oh, that reminds me. So tonight I'm going to be on Alien Scientist show at 9 p.m. Just 30 minutes from now. So if you didn't get enough of me on my show, you can come over to Alien Scientist show. He's sure to have a much bigger crowd. I'm really looking forward to that. And we're going to be discussing Roswell. And I hope these Anthony Bragalia FOIA releases and a few other things, right? Always fun to talk to Jeremy. But he does make me feel like a dumb monkey, right? He's always talking about protons and things, and like we're not all physicists, Jeremy, right? But he does what a lot of my sciencey friends do. He talks to me as if I know all about like the Higgs boson particles that he talks about, and I'm just like, I really am a dumb monkey, Jeremy. You got to slow down for the dumb monkey. I do not have an Einstein brain like you, okay? I have a dumb monkey brain. Yeah, I don't know, Pragmagic. I'll have to play with that. Like if I find one that would be cool for a certain thing or effect, but I think that's a little too much effects for me. And Jeremy is laughing at me with his big Einstein brain. I mean it, bro. You just, and he means well. He's trying to educate me. He's like, well, Stephen. He's all sciencey and stuff all the time. He's like, well, Stephen, are you familiar with the Higgs boson particle and the discoveries made at the CERN lab on this date and time? No, not really. I don't sit around reading physics papers all day like some people, but I'm glad that he does because, somebody's got to look into this physics side of flying saucers and UFOs and all this stuff, right? Yes, the materials declassified document, which to my reading of them, maybe we'll talk about it. I hope we will talk about it with Jeremy, Alien Scientist, tonight. But my reading of them is that the FOIA that this guy got back just said, yeah, we might have recovered some UFO or UAP debris that was tested, but most of it was just stuff about aircraft manufacturing and materials. It had nothing to do with aliens or anything like that. And he went running with the headline that basically said that the Pentagon admits they have alien material or UFO material. I don't know. It's one of those rabbit holes, and you've got to really go through it. Oh yeah, the comments concerning my intro were gold. I have to see them. I don't know what people said, but I did hear that a lot of people were like, yeah, that's another thing that was funny on Jeremy's channel. This is what I hear. A couple people told me this. They're like, yeah, Jeremy replayed that guest appearance he did on his channel, and it got like 2,000 or more views. And a lot of people saw it and thought, yeah, maybe Steven's not such a big asshole. Maybe he's okay. So, okay, good. Good. And by the way, folks, I got to get out of here because I really got to, I got to caffeinate myself and get ready for Jeremy's stream, which is probably going to be a long one. Yeah. We'll be wrapping stuff up here. Yeah, I agree. It is the best intro. Yeah, I love the folks who don't know Steve saw Dancing Girls in Fire as their introduction. Yeah, I know. There's a bunch of UFO nerds sitting around going, okay, there's going to be a show about Roswell, and all of a sudden they see hot dancing chicks and they get confused. That's kind of the point, okay? I'm an artist. Pragmagic, I'm an artist, okay? That's what I'm doing. All right, yeah, see you soon, alien scientists. I'm going to get caffeinated up here and get ready for your show. So, friends, please, I want to thank everybody for coming to the debut of our new variety show format, which we'll be doing every so often. I don't know how this works. I'm still trying to figure out how to be a show host, what best way to present shows to people. So everything is an experiment at this point. I'm always so happy when there's an audience. I was really nervous tonight with this new format. I felt good seeing some familiar faces. And hey, we had some brand new faces in the live chat tonight, which always makes me smile. I'm always happy, friends, when there is an audience. Thank you really sincerely for being a part of mine. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night and God bless all of you.